Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with one of my best friends. It's just kind of reflecting on the pandemic and her having her first child. Hi, I'm Ruby, and welcome to the Ruby Room, whereby I help women navigate the complexities of motherhood, growth, and relationships. And we just talk about anything and everything. My focus is usually more on early motherhood because I'm a new mom to a 9 month old. My husband and I welcomed our son last year. And so I share a lot of tips and resources on just navigating through pregnancy as well as on early motherhood times. And this is one of my dear friends, Maud, and she's going to be answering some questions today. We're just going to have a really chill conversation, just talking about her having her first child during the thick of things when it came to the pandemic and just her experience with that and just follow through all the way to her present day. Anything you'd like to share with the audience, Maud, before we get started?
Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here. An opportunity to share my experience and my life as a mother so far.
Yeah.
Very exciting, but a lot, so much demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I know there's a lot going on in your life right now, and thanks to your husband for watching the kids while we
Yeah.
get to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Go dads.
Yeah.
So what I want to just kind of get started before we even get into your pregnancy. With your husband and you, how long were you married before you got pregnant with your first child?
Um. So I had her in 2020. So that means I was pregnant the whole of 2019, and we've been married since 2013.
Okay.
So that's about
Okay, 7 years.
7 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're
yeah,
married.
yeah.
And how'd you know, I guess, how'd you know you were ready? Or is it just God's timing?
You know, it was a bit challenging for us
Okay.
because he was in school then, and I
Okay.
was back home. That's in Ghana, and trying to join him was quite challenging for us. With immigration stuff and all that. So after 7 years of trying to join him and all that, I think as an African woman, I was just ready, with things like your biological clock is ticking and all that. So yeah, I just felt I've been married for 7 years, and it was just time for me to have a kid,
Yeah.
and feel motherhood. So yes, I was super ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you already shared with us that your daughter was born in 2020, an
Mm-hmm.
earlier stage of 2020. So just
Mm-hmm.
to give context, because we'll be talking a lot about just having a baby around the pandemic time when I think things really, there was really more for the outbreak a lot in March of 2020, and your
Yeah.
daughter was born a few months later.
Yeah.
So you were pregnant when all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
unraveled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when you had gotten pregnant, because one of the videos I have in previous sharing is uh, choosing your OBGYN and your doctor. Were there particular things you were looking for when you wanted to when you got pregnant? God blessed you guys and you conceived, and now you have to look for an OBGYN. Were there certain things you're looking for?
I think I wasn't so privileged, to have the opportunity to. I didn't have the luxury, if that's the word that she used,
Okay.
to think through and then choose what I really want, because I had just moved into Canada newly,
Okay.
to start with my education masters, and then boom, um, I got pregnant. So I was more or less relying on the community I had, by
Okay.
then, my church friends, and trying to find out who can I speak to, who is the best doctor here and there. So when it started initially, of course, I didn't know I was pregnant, with the morning sickness and all that. So I went saw a random, it was just a walk-in session, and I was told I was pregnant after testing. So after that, then we had to look for someone who would take me through the journey. So I was by then living with one Ghanaian lady who had a family doctor.
Okay.
So she took me to him, who took care of me, I think, for close to almost 6 months.
Okay.
And then after 6 months, upon referrals and referencing, I was taken to another doctor who was now an OB.
Okay.
So the first one was just a family doctor,
Okay.
but because of the challenges and difficulties I had as a new person and all that, he was willing to take care of me to a particular time. So after the 6 months, he was like, per the law, he can't go beyond that. So I
Okay.
would have to definitely get
A specialized
doctor, which
Okay.
was an OB. So I got someone who took me on for the 3 months, and then my baby came. So they didn't really have that luxury of
Shopping around and yeah, that
deciding
makes
and all
sense.
that, because I wasn't really like, I was ready, but not ready as in get, because I'm like, okay, I'm coming to school, and after school, then I now look at pregnancy, and then baby came in. So it was a whole lot going on for me, and there was no thought of now trying to find out who can I know. I didn't get that luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And that usually happens sometimes. You just kind of go with the flow.
it does.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you and your husband, you had been married for 7 years and then God blessed you. And you mentioned something about just kind of think about biological clock and everything. Did being in because you're my friend, I know this, impact your pregnancy during the pandemic?
Um, I, I personally, I think I had my own issues and my health issues and all that, but I don't think it's a general thing.
Okay.
Depending on who the individual is, yes. But for me, because I had my issues going on with my health and all that, yes, I had a little bit of challenge here and there, but I wouldn't say it's a
Because of an age
rule.
thing, or
Yes,
yeah, it's not
because
age
I have
related.
seen women in their 30s that have had healthy babies and
Right.
they're okay, pregnancy is safe
Right.
and all that.
Right.
But I had my health issues prior to my pregnancy, and that had an impact on my whole pregnancy.
Yeah.
So,
And so being that you got pregnant during the pandemic, in some of 2019 and then some of 2020, how did that impact your prenatal visits to your initial general physician and also to the OB that you transferred to?
Yeah. So I think for the early part of the pregnancy, which was in 2019, it was pretty cool because by then the pandemic hadn't started, as crazy as it was. So for the first 3 months, it was okay for me. But I think somewhere, if I can remember very well, from January of 2020, that was when it became, so tough, and you couldn't have appointments as in going in physically for the doctor to see you. So most of the appointments were on phone, and you have to be asked, touch your hair, how do you feel? And it was a whole new thing, because some of the questions, they would even ask you, you're not even sure whether you are giving the right answers to what the doctor wants and all that. I think the only times that you could go in was when you have to go in for a scan. So I remember my first scan was when I was 20 weeks, and you would have to walk in with your mask, and it was scary. I remember carrying hand sanitizer, and I pour it as if I was pouring water on my hands.
Just like washing your
If I open the door, I'll pour.
Yeah.
If I go through the elevator, I'll pour. I'm having the tissue in my hand, pressing the numbers. It was crazy and confusing, Though you get there, the bed you're supposed to lie on is sanitized and all that, but you just want to be extra careful. And so you see me trying to wipe with my own tissues, and
even though they've already wiped it down, just being extra cautious.
They couldn't also be too hard on you because they understood where you were coming from. So yeah, it wasn't really easy. It was a tough period, And I remember for me, I was very, very scared because I was told I'm a high-risk pregnant woman, and prone to get COVID easily. So
that's right.
It was a lot for me. So going out was tough. So unless it has to do with me having to go out for my scan, most of the time I was indoors.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's I can't even imagine because just
Yeah.
being pregnant on a regular time is just
Mhm.
nerve wracking, and then you have to add those things to it.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that your husband, you were kind of in a long distance and
Mhm.
stuff like that. He was in the
Right.
United States,
Yeah.
and you were in Canada because you had
Right.
gone there to study.
Right.
Talk about what was that like experiencing? Did you experience loneliness and things like that? How was that for you?
Oh my
Because
God.
this is one of the best moments in marriage is
I
God has blessed
know.
you and
I
your
know.
hubby's so far away.
Mhm. I don't know, but it was tough, Ruby.
Yeah.
It was tough, I think we got to know I was pregnant together because around that time he was still around. And I think just after that, a week or two, he had to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go through the whole pregnancy journey,
Mm.
by myself with friends, people that I really don't know. I just
Right.
met them
Right.
by chance of church and community, and they're trying to be of help and all that. And my pregnancy was very tough because I
Mm-hmm.
had this morning sickness, vomiting, my tummy was rumbling, I couldn't eat. I was a complete mess. And,
Yeah.
not having someone around you that, of course, those I was living with, they did their best
Right.
because I appreciate the lady very much. She did a good job, but it had its limits
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
comparing to, you having your husband around and,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was really tough for me. It was hard. I don't know how to express it, but
Yeah.
you've just taken me back memory lane, and I'm
Yeah.
playing back all that I had to go through, and it was tough. It's not something I wanna wish for any mother,
No.
looking
No.
at it was difficult. It
Yeah.
was it was a difficult moment for me having to do this all by myself, hospital visits by myself, and
Mm-hmm.
you back home, you are vomiting, and you can't even express yourself to the person because I wasn't sure, though I know she was a mother too, but
Mm-hmm.
you weren't sure what you'll be doing, and she would be like, oh, you are SS, you are, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone's journey is different and
Right.
unique,
Right.
so something probably you would handle better. I
Mm-hmm.
might not be able to handle better, and
Mm-hmm.
it will only probably take a spouse or somebody very close to be able to understand
Express.
you and then
Yeah.
contain your excesses. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that privilege. So
Yeah.
it was really tough for me.
Yeah.
I
I
had
can
to be a tough
imagine.
girl by myself. So it was
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Do you mind kind of sharing? Because you mentioned that you had some health stuff that you were dealing with your pregnancy that made it really tough. Do you mind sharing, outside of the pregnancy symptoms, what kind of health conditions were you dealing with?
So I think what I was basically dealing with was high blood pressure.
Okay.
But thanks be to God, aside just the pressure, I didn't really have any issues like um, uh, getting to the latter part of the pregnancy. I had to be visiting the hospital, I think twice in a week,
Mm.
which was very stressful. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
because they had to be sure that everything was, running on smooth. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd go and I had to go through a number of tests. I think they were checking the kidney, the blah blah. I don't know the detail. I know the details, but I can't give it because I am not much of a health person. But
Right.
all that I knew was they were just trying to be sure that I am safe, the
Right.
baby is safe, my
Right.
organs are working perfectly, and all that. So I had to go, I think, from as early as 32 weeks.
Mm. You were
Yes.
going twice? Oh
Every
my
week,
goodness.
yes. Twice every week I had to be at the
Wow.
hospital. Though it was at the peak of the pandemic and people weren't allowed, but my OB was like, nope,
Exemptions for you for sure.
we have to do this.
Mhm.
So I couldn't complain either. But
Mhm.
I'm thankful to God that through all that period, anytime I went in for the test, the results came out and they were good.
Praise
So,
God.
for up till the 39th week, everything was okay. So
Praise
basically, it was
God.
just my blood pressure that was over the roof. But aside that, everything was okay with
Yeah.
my body. Yeah.
And so with the high blood pressure, was this something that you had prior to being pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
or is it something that you got when you got
I
pregnant?
had it before I got pregnant because it's a thing
Okay.
in my family. So
Okay,
kind
it's a
of had it.
genetic. Okay.
Yes. But I was on medications and all that. But once the baby came in, a whole lot of things changed, and
Right.
they had to change my medications and had to
Yeah, for the
monitor me
safety of the
closely,
baby. That's
and
right.
all that. Yeah. So that was just it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure that must be tough. And I'm a believer, and I know you're a believer too. So, what role did faith play in your life during this really tough time?
I wouldn't lie to you that there weren't moments I questioned God. There weren't moments I
Mm.
doubted whether He was with me, and it was tough for me. But I'm thankful, so thankful to the people that stood with me in prayer. I want to use this opportunity, though I didn't discuss with you, to really thank the church that I found myself in. That's All Nations
Mm.
Fellowship in Toronto.
Mhm.
They were really, really good. I got a mother there, Auntie Florence. Anybody who watches this and
We
happens
need
to
to make it get to them
speak to
now.
her, just tell
Yeah.
her that it's
Thank you,
me,
Auntie
Maud, and I'm
Florence.
saying thank you so
Yeah.
much. So I had all these people around me, that were
Praise God.
encouraging me and they were praying. I remember one of my appointments I went, before I went, she was like, when you go in there, no matter what the doctor says, keep saying, I reject this in Jesus' name. It is not my
Mm.
portion, it's not my daughter's portion. And so I had these people, and then back home, I had family, I had friends. Most of my support system were back home, and
Mm-hmm.
they were there for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Pastor Raymond. I know your boy, I'm not baby sorry. He was like the go-to person for me. The little thing, his phone is buzzing, and he knew my situation. So despite the time differences and all that, he was there. So it was tough, Ruby. It was
Yeah.
really. I remember there were times I cried, and I was like, God, is this why you brought me here?
Mm.
To go through all this pain. I look left, I look right, and it's
Mm.
like I'm in this alone, but. I want to thank God for God, and I want
Mm.
to thank God that I had family back home that were with me, Ralph and Cody. They prayed with me, they stood
Praise
with
God.
me. Yeah. And then the family I had in Canada, to the church family, they were awesome. But there were moments, of course, I'll cry and I'll ask
Mm-hmm.
questions.
And that's real. And I
God,
appreciate your
God, why
honesty.
this? Why me? I pray about this. I've trusted you. Why can't you make it any easier for me? And I have to
Mm.
go through this all by myself with my
Mm.
husband not being here, no family here. And
Mm.
but I sit back today and I see that throughout the journey, he was with me, one day
Amen.
at a time. Even for the fact that I go to the hospital and they ran the test and they didn't see any abnormality and I was perfect. Ruby, that was a testimony.
Amen.
Because with the numbers I was running, anything could have happened to my system,
Right.
and
Right.
anything could have happened to my baby.
Mm-hmm.
But in the midst of it all, God kept the baby safe. God kept me safe. I was still healthy and I was able to go in there by myself. So I still appreciate God for that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And just kind of talking about how, it was kind of like an emotional roller coaster.
Mhm.
I know for you, um, fitness and wellness is such a big thing
Mhm.
before you had your baby and even up till now after you've had your kids and
Mhm.
stuff. But how did you manage your mental health during this time? With you got to think, okay, I'm pregnant now. Then there's the pandemic, and then my husband's not around, and how new country you moved to a new country, so there were like four just difficult factors already that you were dealing with. How
Yeah.
did you manage that, your mental
Uh,
health?
I I really don't even think I have an answer to that because
Yeah.
what would I say? How did I do it? Ruby, honestly, I don't know.
Mm.
I say that because back home we hardly talk about mental health. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I had very little information
Okay.
about, there's a need to talk to someone, there's a need to do this. And coming back from where I came from, we have the society there that, we have friends, we have people that, and then it's a new place. And I don't even know how to answer this question because my mental health wasn't something that was a
You
priority to
didn't
me
prioritize that.
then
Yeah.
at that
Hmm.
time. And it's not because I didn't care, but it was more of I just want to go through this pregnancy. I just want to have a healthy baby, and that's it. So it was more of the pregnancy, my faith in God,
Mm.
and everything was God to me then.
Mm-hmm.
You can't meet me in the room with my phone. They said I'm listening to Christian songs, I'm praying, I'm listening to sermons, I'm crying, and that was just it, So yes, that's all that I
No,
can
and
say.
honestly, Maud, I appreciate your honesty in that because I mean, for me as a Sierra Leonean, you being a Guinean woman, like you said, I think definitely changes are being made. There's improvement now, but mental health is not really a priority. It's just like you do this. That's what you're faced with. You do it and you deal with it. Yeah. But it's not thinking, how am I doing? How am I mentally? How am I doing right now? Where's my brain space and health and things like that? You don't think about that. You just like get it done. Like we've all been through this.
Thank you.
Unfortunately,
it's like,
because I know I struggle with that too. Or I was like going through some things, and then it's like you have an African woman telling me like, "Oh, I did this without medication," and here you are, just some little thing, and and just minimizing your pain sometimes, which is so hurtful. So in those moments, like you said, like you open up to many people, but sometimes it really takes a spouse or maybe a parent that will truly empathize with you. So I appreciate your honesty because I think those are places that we could improve on, and cultural differences and things like that, especially for us who, African born, but now living in the Western world. And also we have kids. And so we have to demonstrate to them what being mentally healthy looks like, prioritizing our health and stuff, because they model what we show them. So I love that you reflected back and said there probably could have been places for me to improve, but at the time that wasn't even a priority at all. It's just you were in survival mode. You really were just in survival mode and stuff. So, but we're gonna move on to the next set of questions. But I just want to say hi, Tiara. Thank you for watching. I see Tiara saying hi. And then I think Vijay is saying hi. Hello. And thanks for everyone watching. Make sure you like the video. And if you have any questions for Maud as we're speaking, let me know. Just type in your questions and we'll definitely get to them. Make sure you keep the comments respectful and kind, and we'll continue our conversation. So now let's talk about preparing for labor and delivery and things like that. How did you navigate the changes when it comes to like hospital protocols, because it was during the pandemic? Like just in terms of going in, like, because I'm sure your doctor told you, okay, here's what you need to do when you go into labor and things like that. How did you navigate through that?
Yes,
was it inconvenient, but I guess you didn't have much of an experience since it's your first child, right?
That was exactly what I was going to say. That I didn't actually know what the whole thing was like because it was my first time and my first time experience. But what I really knew was a lot of people were not allowed in because so I think they were like, it's just your spouse that is supposed to. Initially, even before I went, I think on either my last appointment or so, I was told that I would have to come in alone. Yes. And then later, I think the very last week when I went, I was told that I have to come in with only one support system. Yes. So mine was I was labor induced. So I knew when I was to go in and all that. So the morning came, I got ready, I got my support system, we got there. And of course, an African mother with all my stuff and all that. But at the gates, I was told that I don't need any of that.
She overpacked.
Since the hospital would be providing everything. So it looks like at the gates, they took everything. What did I tell it? I think just your phone. My brush and my paste.
The essentials.
That was just it. And as for my baby, all the onesies and everything, nothing. So they just kept my bag, had my name labeled on it, and they asked, I guess, someone to come pick it. So I went in. With my support system, and then they did what they were supposed to do to induce me, and then they wheeled me to the room that I was supposed to be in, and then my support system was there. And then what happened? I think they were monitoring me closely too because of the blood pressure, So I I started going into labor, and I don't know. For me, I think I had watched a lot of videos. I had spoken to a lot of people that I had psyched myself for
Oh
so
no.
much pain that even when I started contract, I didn't even know. So
Yeah, because you expect it to be worse.
the nurses will look and they are like, "Do you feel this?" I'm like, "No." And I remember I got an African woman who was there taking care of me as the midwife, and she was like, "Really, you don't feel this?" I said, "No." And she was like, "You're a tough woman." So my support system was making fun of me. She was like, "The way this lady has prepped her mind, I'm not sure." So
Yeah.
fast forward, I went till about 6 centimeters,
Okay.
and then that was it. So from 12 noon
Okay.
all through 12 midnight,
Mm.
I still wasn't like moving from the 6 centimeters,
Oh
and I think
wow.
my blood pressure was going over the roof. So at a point, the doctors had to come in and then talk to me, and they asked, because of course my support system wasn't my husband. She was asked to step out,
Okay.
and then they spoke to me and told me that these are the issues, and I'm like, it's about my safety and my baby's safety first. So
Absolutely.
and I saw the doctors really appreciated, because the doctor was so open and frank with me. She was like, we were finding it hard to come to you because most of the women that come, and they are from Africa, when you tell them anything that has to do with CS, it's like a taboo.
A C-section.
It's C-section. It was a taboo. And that made sense to me. When I was coming, the lady I was with, like living with, was like, I want to say it in my local dialect, just as the way she said it. Abena ukwa miya weni. Like, Abena, when you go, Abena is Tuesday born. Try. Don't let them use the knife on you. I'm just translating literally.
Yeah.
Don't allow it, because once you go under the knife, you become weak. You can't be strong as a mother. So no matter what they do to you, tell them you want to push. And she was ringing it so much in my ear. I'm like, what is it that this woman is just penetrating this, So when the doctor came in and was like, she wants to be frank with me and appreciating me for not dragging this. Now it made sense to me what the lady was saying.
There's past patients, past African patients.
But hey, Ruby, it was about me and my baby.
Absolutely.
Whether it is,
Health,
of course,
yeah.
I wanted to have a normal birth. I wanted to feel that. Until today, I really sometimes wonder how it looks like, to push your baby. But it was about me and my baby, and we coming out safe.
Safety,
I wouldn't jeopardize that for trying to prove any point. Not to say anything, but just trying to tell mothers out there that it's okay. It's okay. CS, there's nothing wrong with the C-section. If it is, that's how God has planned it. Praise be to God. What is important is about you and your baby. And for me, it was having a healthy baby and be healthy myself, because I knew the odds that were at stake, and if my blood pressure is getting over the roof, and it looks like every medication they were giving me wasn't getting it down, and the only thing to stabilize me was to have the baby, why would I still want to say nope? I want to have it, a normal
that'd be silly.
Yeah, so past 12 they wheeled me. So when I just gave my consent, I think they had to call my husband on phone then. And he was also on throughout the process. He was communicating with my support system because he was far away. So they spoke to him, and he was like, the lady with me there, he gives her the permission to sign on his behalf, and we had it done. The next minute I was in there. They did what they were supposed to do. What I saw was, I think I threw out. I was feeling really terrible. So I told them I wanted to throw up, and they gave me something. I threw up, and after that, I felt good.
That's the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah. After throwing up,
the same thing.
I got okay. But one thing I noticed was, like, I was going off on and off, and I don't know what that was, but like kind of going. I don't know whether
you feel like you were blacking out,
kind of. And then I come back, and so when I'm sharing with friends, I'm like, I believe there was an angel there that kept stopping me to wake up, because I could see myself slip off, then I'll come back, slip off. I went through that for about 3 times, and then after the third one, I heard, and you're like, man, your baby is here, and she's a beautiful baby girl, and I just saw her, and then they whisked her away, and the rest was history.
Praise God. And so thank you so much for sharing that. That is powerful and just a whole lot of emotions, and so right before that, in fact, I wanted to know, do you take any classes to prepare for childbirth, especially with COVID going on? Was there any kind of preparation that you had?
I didn't get the opportunity. I told you that it was a whole lot. I
Right.
didn't have, should I say, my story was different. I know a lot of people to have gone through what I've gone through, but
Mm-hmm.
having the opportunity to be in a country that all these things were available, but I
Never
didn't
got
get
that.
to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got to know even of it at a very late time, and any class I tried to sign up, I was told either they are filled or is filled up, or because of COVID, they are closed down and all that. So, most of them I watched actually on my
Online.
online,
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to see. But I didn't get that, classes about breastfeeding and all that. No,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I didn't get all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can, that's something that your story, I mean, for me, I just had my son more recently, but
Mm.
I can so relate to some of these emotions that you're sharing of
Mm-hmm.
mourning
Mm-hmm.
some things. Because, for instance, for me, my husband and I, we had to do our birthing classes online
Mm.
too. That was what
Mm.
my OBGYN provided. And it's just a Zoom call. And I
Mm.
was asleep half the time because I
Mm.
was so tired,
Mm.
fatigue, and everything. And that's something we shared in a previous video my husband and I did. But also just, and also mourning, like you said, mourning certain things, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I had to have an emergency C-section as
Mm-hmm.
well with my son. And sometimes, like, I'm thankful, like you said, the priority is getting your baby out
Yeah.
healthily. Mom and dad are healthy. And so that was the priority. It wasn't to play superhero, super mom, or
Sure.
anything like that,
Sure.
And so I understand that part, but also sometimes I mourn, like, just wondering, what is it like to push?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I find
Sure.
myself like correcting myself when I want to say, like, I carried his baby and I pushed, and I was like, wait, I didn't push him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
not do that,
That's true.
but having an emergency C-section when you had certain plans and you had certain hopes and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't go that way
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so just how moving forward, how did you navigate all those changes that had to be done to, like, basically your birth plan?
Mm-hmm.
How did you navigate just accepting those changes?
For me, I think I had a lot on my plate to deal with,
Mm.
that I didn't have time to, sit back and like, oh, how I wish I would have a normal birth, and I didn't have,
Mm-hmm,
no, because
mm-hmm.
I wasn't in a country, all by myself with, of course, support system, but not as you would wish. And you had to be strong for yourself. You had to be strong for your baby. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really I didn't have that luxury of sitting down to,
Yeah.
mourn those moments and
Mm.
wishing. No, I think it's years down the lane that sometimes I sit and I'm like, I just wish, I have this experience of pushing so that I'll know how it feels to,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
but at that moment I had so much going on that, okay, let me leave this behind and then move,
Priorities. Yeah.
yes, move to the
Yeah.
next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That I appreciate that. That makes so much sense. And so moving forward now, to God be the glory, you had your baby girl and no complications. Or how long were you in the hospital for?
Oh, that's another question.
Yeah. How long?
I stayed in the hospital past, I think, 3 weeks. Yeah. I told
Why?
you I had issues with my blood pressure, and
Uh-huh.
I after I had the baby, I had how do they call that thing? Is it preeclampsia or whatever?
Preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia, I think, is before the
Oh,
pregnancy,
so
but
there's
after.
post, I didn't even know
I think
that.
so, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
forgive us, the medical people, if we don't get the terms right, but
Correct us in the comments.
Mhm. But I think it has something. It had to do with my blood pressure after I had the baby,
Okay.
and the doctors were like, "Nope, we can't let you go until we get you stabilized before you can leave."
Oh
So
my
I
goodness.
stayed there for close to 3 weeks, and I think because there was a whole lot going on for me, my blood pressure just couldn't even be normal. Because here am I with the baby all by
Yeah.
myself, no husband, nobody's allowed
Oh
in the
my
hospital
goodness.
because my support system cannot be there with us, and she was also a student, has her own life, and all that to do with her deadlines and all that. So it was something else for me. So
Hmm.
with my brains and my mind all over the place. I couldn't even have the peace of mind to get my blood pressure stabilized.
Yeah.
And that was what, and
Yeah.
they were also like, nope, once we don't get this stabilized, there is no way we are letting you out of here, because if anything happens to you, the government is going to take us responsible.
Right.
So until we see the numbers we want to see, you are not going home. So that is a whole story for another day, Ruby. So I
Wow. I
stayed
didn't
in
know
the
that.
hospital for close to 3 weeks
Wow.
before I was allowed to live with my baby.
Wow. So your blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
numbers were still high and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So
Mm-hmm.
how was recovery for the C-section then? In addition to that,
It
how
was
how
it
did you
was
navigate
it
that?
was tough. It was really, really tough. I had no prepping whatsoever about the pain that will come after the C-section.
Right.
So I feel I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, because you weren't planning on having a C-section anyway.
Now,
Yeah.
the real time I saw what I was into was, I think, after I had the baby, they took me to my room, and I think just a few minutes after, the blood pressure started shooting up again. So they had to take me to the intensive care.
Mm-hmm.
I think I stayed in the intensive care for 2 days. So it was at the intensive care when the nurses were trying to clean me. And when they tried turning me over, it would be the pain I felt.
Oh no.
Because all this while I had no idea. That was when I was like, whoa, is this what I'm going to deal with? So they cleaned me up, with a lot of pains and all that. And I think the following day, thankfully, I had an old midwife who came in, and she was like, my lady, after, talking to me and knowing all that was going on, she was like, you need to get up as soon as possible and walk.
Right.
Because you have to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your baby. And this is the second day you've not seen your baby. And I need you to get
so
up.
where was your baby?
So she immediately I had her, they took her to the nursery.
Right.
So she was there, and I was only getting, I think even the first day after seeing her, that I never saw her again till the next day when my support system came in. So apparently she was taking care of her there.
Oh
She
my
comes check on her.
goodness.
It was tough for me, Ruby. My whole birthing thing was, I don't know.
Oh my.
It's a whole story by itself. Yeah. So she was like, this is the second day, and I know you want to see your baby. And I said yes. And she was like, there's no way they're going to bring the baby here. The baby's healthy and doing fine, but you need to get out of here, mama. So you need to get up. So I wanted to use the washroom, and then that was when, Ruby, I'm like, wow, this is another pain. Something I have never felt my entire life. I don't know. It was hard, So they brought me, I don't know what that thing is called.
Just like a walker, I guess.
Walker.
Okay.
And she was behind me slowly, and the pain, Ruby, it was hard.
Yeah.
And I had to go use the washroom, even to sit and then pee was another thing by itself. And
oh my goodness.
So after the intensive care, I was taken, I think a day or two later, when they got a good number, they took me to a normal postpartum ward. And then that was where I was. And I had this nurse who came in, and she was like, she said the same thing. She was like, mama, you need to get up and walk. You just have to push yourself, because you need to be here for yourself and for your baby. So I would wake up very early in the morning, and I would push myself to walk through the ward up and down. And then anytime, they had the system that you could just press the bell for the nurses to come. But thanks to that nurse, she told me, she was like, if you want to recover and recover fast, you would have to minimize the number of times you need to ring this thing, do it by yourself. It was tough. So I have my baby crying. I need to get up from my bed, slowly take her, attend to her. When the bad diaper is, sometimes when I felt I just couldn't, I ring the bell for the nurses to come and help. But it wasn't easy. That is how I went through. So I think I started walking pretty much good before I went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like, because I can relate to a lot of the things you're saying. I mean, you had the high blood pressure, which I didn't, but because I had a C-section, I understand that pain that you're talking about, where your pain meds compatible with your high blood pressure
I
medicine?
think that was what they were doing, trying to make sure
They
yeah,
were not okay.
yeah.
Because I know, like, for me, for like, I think maybe the first month or so, I
Mm.
had like pain meds that I was taking,
Mm.
and you have to follow it by clock.
Yeah,
Like every 4 hours I took a certain amount, and
yeah.
then like every 6 hours, like I just had.
And because I was there, they were coming in to administer it to me. So
Okay.
it was drugs upon drugs upon
Yeah.
drugs upon. So at one point you're taking blood pressure, at one point you're taking pain.
Oh
and
my gosh.
it was
And I
just
was
so
overwhelmed with
much.
just the C-section med
Oh,
pain. So then you
have
add yours,
you
the
have no
high blood
idea,
pressure.
Vicky.
That's a lot.
It was a lot of medications. It was so much in my system, so
Yeah.
much in my system that at a point I was even getting afraid for my baby, with the things.
Yeah. And speaking of that, with all the medications you were taking, did that impact anything with respect to your baby? Like, did you breastfeed, or did that?
I actually wanted to breastfeed, and I was given assurance that all the medications that I was on were safe.
Okay.
But for some reason, I don't know, for my motherly instinct or whatever, I just wanted to keep my baby safe. So I started giving her formula.
Okay.
Yeah, because I felt the medications were so much.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking about with
so
you
they
saying
were like,
that.
oh, we are trying to give you everything that would make the baby safe and all that. But for some reason, I just felt no. So yeah, so I started giving her the formula.
Yeah. And were you allowed more than one guest? Because I know you had your support system who would come in once in a while. Were you allowed to receive guests?
No, nobody was allowed because of the time we were in here. So it was basically my support system and then Ma Florence, but it was because she worked in the hospital.
Okay.
So she had access to me.
Oh, she had access to.
So yeah, on the side there was just your support system. And that's it. Yeah.
And how was your appetite? Were you able to eat?
Initially, I think I was, but moving forward with all that was going on and my mental health and everything, my appetite started getting bad. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But at that time, I wasn't even worried about that.
That's the least of your
At the point, all I wanted to do was just to get me and my baby out of the hospital. The four walls of the hospital was just something to me. And, no matter what you tell them, they were like, no, until we see the numbers, we want you to going home. So at a point, even the food wasn't even an issue for me.
Yeah.
It was just getting myself out of the hospital with my baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you talked a little bit just now about, your mental health and stuff like that. Did you, with just the experience, and some women don't even have to go through half of what you went through, but did you experience any kind of maybe postpartum depression or the postpartum anxiety or anything like that afterwards?
I think I did, but at that moment I didn't know. And so it took a long time to manifest. I had my baby in May. And then I think I started seeing signs of postpartum depression in June. And I remember the day very well because it was just a day that everything went off for me. So I remember the date till today. I think my husband had sent me a parcel, so I had gone to pick it up. And when I was sitting in the Uber, I don't know how to explain this, but I just went empty, like blank. You don't feel anything like joy, nothing. It would be very difficult to explain what it is, but we are happy here, though there's nothing going on, but there's a sense of happiness.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm
joy.
making sense.
Yeah.
But whilst in the Uber back home, I felt it just went off. And I'm like, what feeling is this? So I was like, is this normal? But I just couldn't understand what was going on. So I go home. And then I remember the first day I didn't talk about it. I wanted to see how things would go. The second day, so the third day, then I told the lady I was sleeping with, is this normal? I kind of feel off. I don't feel any sense of joy, any sense of happiness. There's nothing going on, like things that will make you laugh. I don't my brain doesn't tickle me to tell me that this is something you should laugh at. And I just feel empty. And she was like, oh, it'll be okay. It's what you call it, what something blues, baby blues. When you have a baby, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. Then I started going for. By then, I had started experiencing something. When I came home, I couldn't sleep at night. Of course, baby will not let you sleep and all that. Sometimes you want to sleep, you don't even get somebody to help you to sleep, and it was messy. Then I noticed that I'll be sleeping on my bed, and it feels like I am jumping out of the bed. And I could feel that my nerves were racking like, unless someone who has gone through this, I don't know how to explain. But you could literally, when I put my hands, I feel I don't know whether my veins or my bones vibrating. So at a point, I felt I was getting mad. So I had to ask the lady to hold me this way and feel if she feels anything. She said no. I said, but when I put my hands here, I feel like my bones are vibrating, or is it my nerves? Then she was like, she feels I'm thinking too much. Then the loss of appetite came drastically. From morning to evening, I don't want to eat anything. You come, all you see in my room is water. I would take water and take water. And no, no, all these things were signs of postpartum depression, but I didn't know. So I journeyed through it until that fateful day on the June, whatever, that it hits me. Then that sense of being happy or things make it being funny and you laugh went off. That was when I saw that no, it was going beyond what's wrong. And those things of sleeping and it's like you're jumping off the bed started coming in, and panic attacks. I didn't even know they were called panic attacks. Started setting in and having chest pains and my nerves and my back. It was something else really. And I was just all over the place. And unfortunate thing too was the person I was with was like, oh, you'll be fine. It's baby blues, just as you mentioned. It'll be okay. And blah, 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 up and down. And of course, that's a religious person as I was, I took it into prayer, and the amount of tears I shared, Ruby, because I didn't even know what was happening to me. I was like, God, what is this? At a point, I got so scared, I felt I was going mad. Because I knew something was wrong with my brain. Something wasn't right, especially when the panic attack comes. You know, I become so helpless. So I have to pace around. And mostly when I'm pacing around, I'm crying and I'm praying and I'm like, God, I don't know what this is, but you need to bring me out of it. Ruby.
Yeah.
It was something else. Yeah, so I did go through postpartum depression. Depression.
Yeah.
And I think mine was, I don't know whether it was severe or it was moderate or whatever you call it, but it wasn't the normal depression we talk about. Mine was something else. Yeah, so I had to deal with it. So at a point, I just started reading around it because I felt I had to look for help. So I went online, So when I saw the symptoms, I'm like, okay, I can relate to this. This happens to me. Oh, so that means, and there again, when I tried speaking to the people around me, it was like, no, once you open up, they'll take your baby from you and medication, and it means you're becoming a mad person, those kind of stories. And I was really scared, Ruby. I was really scared and torn in between, but it was getting out of hand. So I had to speak to my husband, and unfortunately too, he had also been fed with those things. So he was also like, we weren't sure whether it was time for medication or not. But at a point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going through this all alone with my baby here, and nobody seems to understand really what goes on, because I don't sleep at night, Ruby. I don't sleep at night, daytime. I can't sleep. Because once I try to sleep, I start jittering. You see, I'll be shaking, and I'm up. I try sleeping, I'll be shaking. I just can't explain what it was. So I had to call my doctor, and then I told him this is. And before then, I had gone for a visit, and I mentioned it to him, and he was like, he suspects postpartum depression, but let's observe. So thankfully, he took time and he called me again, and I told him that he was like, I should think about it, but he thinks that if I start the medication, it would help. Yeah. So let me pause here.
Yeah. Well, also, I wanted to get into that because what was this, like about a month or so after you had your daughter, right? And so because I'm not sure how Canadian system works, because when I had my son, I know a week later we had a doctor's appointment, and every doctor's appointment I've gone to, and this is a pediatrician doctor appointment I'm talking about for my son, but every time I go to his doctor appointments, and he's 9 months now, but every time they always give me a form to fill out, something with respect to mental health. Is that something they do in Canada?
I think they do, but I initially, when I found out, I was a bit angry with them, but at points too, I felt like probably a lot of things were going on with me, that they were overwhelmed, that they lost sight of my
Of
mental
that
health.
one,
Because I told you
yeah.
I stayed in the hospital for close to 3 weeks.
Right.
So I think that that was the time that probably those questions should have been coming.
Right.
But unfortunately, it looks like anybody around me was more worried about the blood pressure
Right.
thing than even talking about my mental
that.
health.
Yeah.
I remember at a point they brought in a social worker to talk to me. But at a point, I was getting angry with her because, of course, I felt I had so much going on. And you come here, you're asking me unnecessary questions. So after the second day, I told them I didn't need her there.
Okay.
So probably if I had continued with her, she could have probably made
caught it. Okay.
But so I wouldn't blame it entirely on them.
There was just a lot
Going on with them,
a lot going
so
on.
I
Yeah.
think that is where I whether they missed the mark or I missed the mark. So I didn't get that opportunity to be asked about my mental health. And of course, after the second day, the lady, I thought she was getting me angry because I felt like you come here, you ask me irrelevant questions when I have stuff to deal with, and you're asking me when did I get married. She was getting me angry. So after the second day, I told them that in fact I don't think I need her services, so I don't want to see her here again.
Yeah.
So that was rather unfortunate. So I believe there's a system like that.
Okay.
But in my case, because of all that was happening,
Yeah.
I think they lost
It
sight
got
of
gonna.
it.
Yeah, because I know even up till now, we just had my son. We had his 9 months appointment, and I still had to fill it out and stuff while my husband's kind of taking care of him and prepping for the doctor. I'm over here filling that form out. So that was something I was thinking about. I'm like, is there some kind of oversight on that? And so that makes sense. And so, and I thank you and I appreciate you for sharing this in depth, because I think there's the faith aspect of it, and also there's the cultural side of it. Like, because for growing up in Sierra Leone or growing up in Ghana, and like, these are things, it's like, oh, just be strong or just pray harder. Oh, it's just the enemy or the devil and stuff like that. But we kind of downplay when it comes to mental health things, and cover it with the umbrella of like religion or like culture and things like that. And like you said, sadly, you had these thoughts too, and people were throwing all these things at you, but also like your husband, both of you are very well educated people and all that stuff, but still you had all these mental like stereotypes about these things that even your husband too was like, oh well, no, maybe not, and stuff like that. So what advice would you give in encouraging like the importance of these things, and like I said, we kind of have to set an example whereby like we're prioritizing our mental health and stuff, because I think about it for me, I mean, I had delivery and everything, and I didn't have all those extra things, and I know I struggled. I went through the depression and stuff like that, postpartum and all that stuff, not to the extent as you did, but I can relate to a few of those things and stuff like that. And so how do we navigate through that, breaking all these stereotypes and saying I need help? Me taking medication does not mean I'm insane. This is just me doing the best thing for my health and for my family. What advice would you give to encourage people?
I think getting to know me, you've always known that I've been very passionate about, postpartum health and all that. And it is because of what I went through. And I also feel that it is a part that is not spoken about much, We talk about it, but especially we Africans, it's assumed that once you have a baby and you're a mom, you're supposed to be a superhuman being. But that is not the case, So for me, I would want to speak to moms first, and I would want to speak to the family. It's okay to take medications. It's a super, super, super okay, I believe in God 100%, and I know that He's a miracle working God. There's nothing that God cannot do under the sun. There's nothing. It takes just a second, and any miracle you need from Him, He can give it to you.
Yeah.
But until then, I believe that He's the same person that has given us, that sense, that brains for scientists to know that okay,
He's given them
this
wisdom.
is how the human brain works,
Right.
and therefore when we do this and do this, it can help. So don't be afraid to go on that medication. I did, and it has helped me so much. I didn't know that there could be a time that I can enjoy my life enjoy my kids, and enjoy my husband. Because trust me, once it gets there, it looks like your whole world is shutting down. But here am I here today sharing my story, and it is because I took the medication. And that thing of overboredom, you be like you grow mad, you be tagged as a mad person, and unless of course you tell me this is how a mad person looks like, then that one I'll agree with you. But if I don't look like anything like a mad person, and I have the peace of mind to take care of my kids, I operate regularly as any other woman. Sometimes this lady even makes fun of me that I'm a superwoman, but I'm all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
Unless you don't call for help or unless you don't ask me, I am there. And it is because I agreed to take the medication and I am here today. So, Mama, it's okay. I know you have faith in God, so do I do too. But it's not a lifetime sentence. You started at a point as you go to the hospital all the time, they'll ask you questions, and depending on your quality of life, they'll start taking you off slowly. And by the time you realize you are off it, and as you are taking it, you're also reading stuff and things that will help you when you go off the medication to have a good life and then have a good mental health, like eating well, prioritizing exercising. And so I don't joke with these things. No matter how busy I am in a day, I make sure that I have time for my exercising. I make sure I eat because these are all things that would help with your mental health.
Right.
And so it's not a lifetime sentence that once you go on the medications, you're going. And I remember those days, I read stories like that. That once you try to go off it, they will start messing with your brains,
I
and
heard those,
yes,
yeah.
that fear was there and
Yeah.
all that. You know, but I believed and I trusted God that once I am going into this journey, I am going into the journey with God. And when it is time for me to come out of it, He, God, who took me through it, is the same God that will bring me out of it.
Amen.
So, my dear mama out there, don't be scared to go for the medication. If you can do without it, praise the Lord. I was told to go for exercises, to do whatever. I tried all those things, but it didn't work for me. And the moment of truth came that I just had to go on the meds and combine. And we are all different, we are all unique. So don't compare yourself to another mother who will tell you that, oh, I went through the same thing, but I didn't take any medication. Praise God for that, mama. But I'm a different person, you're a different person. Our genetics are different, our built up are different. We respond to things differently. Even before pregnancy, naturally, I was an anxious person. And when I started reading, I learned that once you are an anxious person, you are pre-exposed to it.
Okay.
So it wasn't surprising that I landed myself there. And maybe for another mama, she is not anxious, things come and she's able to handle them coolly. So she's not pre-exposed, but I had that in me. So please stop comparing yourself to this mama had postpartum depression and didn't take the medication, and so I'm not. You are two different people.
That's true.
And you need to be there to be healthy, to be strong, and take care of your children that you have brought to the world. And you wouldn't want your mental health to stop you from doing that, especially when there are interventions, there are things that can help you to live the best life that you have to live as a mom. So please, and family out there, let's pay close attention to our moms when they give birth. Don't invalidate their pain. Anything they tell you. At that moment, we ourselves, we don't even understand our system. We don't know what is going on. So we say things that we don't even know. We can't explain. When you tell us, for me, like some of the things, I couldn't even explain to you what was happening. But please listen to them. If you don't have solutions, please seek help. Please seek help. We have hospitals, we have therapists, we have a whole lot of counselors, people you can talk to. Don't invalidate any pain or any feeling a new mom is telling you. Let's pay attention, because I believe that if the people I was living with probably had an idea of knowing that, okay, let's get her to someone to speak to, probably wouldn't have gotten worse to where I got to. So please, let's be of help. And I'm so passionate about this, Ruby. I am so passionate because of what I went through.
Right.
And it's a tough thing. And instead of you to be enjoying your baby at that moment, you are dealing with something different. It got to a point that I look at my baby and all I could feel for her was sympathy. Sympathy. I remember a friend asking me that, so when you look at her, don't you feel happy? Are you not full of joy? I'm like, no. I look at my baby and all that I see is I pity her. I'm like, you came to the wrong hands. I can't even love you. I look at her and everything like, it was just a mess for me. And sometimes I just look at her and I'm crying. Crying because I see moms having their babies and the way they're happy and jumping all over the place with their kids. There's nothing like that. I look at her, I think about her, and I start getting anxious. I'm nervous. Hey, she's going to cry again. She's going to ask for milk again. The night is going to be tough. Those were the things that were going through my mind. So I am so passionate about this. So family out there, please, spouses, pay attention to the moms when they have the babies. Let them sleep. Mine, I know the number one thing was sleep deprivation because I didn't get access to sleep. I was all by myself. I had to do everything by myself. But if you can help, please help. If it is coming in with a meal so that she doesn't go to the kitchen and have that rest, please do. If it is swinging by, oh, do you have laundry? I can just do the laundry for about an hour and go. Please do. If it is, do you have any groceries? That is all that I can help with. Please do. As much as possible, taking things off the mom's table so that they get time to rest. So family and friends all around. Of course, in this part of the world, we are all busy. You cannot be there 24/7. But if it is that, it is laundry that I'll go in every day, 30 minutes, or even twice or thrice a week. Please take it off the family. Help. Husbands, be there for your wives. If they need to get that nap, just make that sacrifice. Take the babies. Friends, if you can come babysit for an hour, let her have that rest because at that moment, the system is going through so much that we ourselves, we cannot even understand what we are dealing with. And the best you can do for us is just to allow us to sleep, rest, have good meals, and eat. And then give us some time. And after that, you have a healthy mom, a happy mom, and postpartum depression be a thing of the past.
Amen. Amen.
you.
That's so good. Thank you so much for all that advice. I completely agree with you. And yeah, I think you touched on it perfectly because these are some of the stigmas we have to deal with. I think that we need to talk about it more. And also, and I think the hard thing too is like not having a name to some of these things because you're like, I'm feeling all these things. I don't know how to describe it.
I didn't even know that while I was at that point, whatever it was that was with my how do I call it? I mostly felt it here. I don't know how we call this part of the body.
Yeah. At the back of your head.
I didn't even know it was panic attacks,
Oh,
it
yeah.
starts from here and I feel like something is holding my nerve and my I'm having like I don't even know.
Yeah.
So feeling like
chest tightness.
And some of them I couldn't even explain what I was going through. So just as you mentioned, yes, we don't even have names. We can't even tell you.
Yeah. It's like I feel this way, but it's like I don't know how to even express it out loud. And so I think just having the conversation and knowing is so good. And also I wanted to highlight too what you were saying is that this is one of the happiest times of my life, and yet I'm not feeling happy or joyful. I look at my baby and I'm not full of joy because I remember when I had my son and stuff like that, like I felt like, okay, my duty is to take care of this baby. It's like sometimes, like in the beginning, I feel like I didn't even have a connection with him.
That's true. So
true. And of course, how horrible would I feel to say that out loud to someone else?
Issue.
I think my husband's the only one whom I confess that to, that I like I'm struggling. And I took a while for
which is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I felt like a terrible mom to say I didn't connect with my baby.
It took me, I read an article, I've forgotten who wrote it, when he was explaining about having a baby and bonding. It was when I read the article that told me that it's okay. Some people even take years to build connections with their children. And as you change their diaper, as you bath them, as you feed them, the connection would naturally come. So it's okay for mothers who have their babies today and already they connect. But if you don't have it, mama, it is until I read that that I became at peace.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, so what I'm feeling makes sense. It's just okay to go through this. And with time, I'll build a bond. And it is true, with time, the bond will come.
Yeah.
But you see, what the society tell us is like, okay, once you have the baby, it's supposed to be, yeah, baby is
Yeah.
here, and yeah, and I love and the
Yeah.
kisses and
Yeah.
but some of us didn't feel that way, which is okay, Mama. It is
Mm-hmm.
so super cool.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. Some are, praise God, for them, they have it immediately. Some of us, we don't. And I'm
Yeah.
happy Ruby to be sharing her story that she went through all that. So after, I wasn't the only one who felt, though fine, mine was different. But for
Yeah.
that moment, I couldn't also connect to her until I
Mm-hmm.
came across the article that told me that it was just okay. And with time, I'll build a connection with my
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's your mini me and your best friend
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
everything now,
yeah,
but I think that's why these conversations are so good, because we put all these pressures on ourselves, and especially being first time moms,
yeah.
because with you now being a two-time mom and stuff like that, like I'm sure like things you were bothered about or worried about that first time, like you're just like,
Yeah.
meh,
Yeah.
it's okay, but as a first time mom, you're like, I have to do all the things.
Yeah.
This is how this is supposed to go, because I saw it this way. This person told me this. And I love that earlier you mentioned that everyone is so different.
So different.
Not because this was not hard for you means that it shouldn't be hard for me
So
as well.
true.
And I remember
So
when I
true.
was pregnant, just opening up to you and stuff, and you tell me like, don't try to play superhero, just do things, do what works best for you and things like that. I remember you emphasizing that, encouraging me, like, don't like try to minimize things. If something hurts, like talk about it and be open and stuff like that. You said it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think that's so good, because I think for so many of us, traditionally we're told to be strong, do this, be strong Black woman, be tough African woman, and things like that. It's like you have all these grandmas who are telling you, I did this without medication.
So true.
And it's like, no, you people, you're so weak and you sneeze and you haven't, like, you need medication for this. So I think that's so good, just like breaking those barriers and like deconstructing all those like different stigmas that they are out there. So thank you so much. And so and maybe would you like to touch a little bit on just how was the recovery part for the C-section? Because I know there was the mental health portion of things, but did you remain on your meds, and how did that slowly progress and stuff with
I
recovery?
I think mine was super good, because I don't remember coming home with any of the pain meds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that sounds right, because if you
Yeah.
spent almost 3 weeks,
3 weeks,
because I think it was only about 3 weeks I was on pain meds,
So
and then I was
that
done.
Was it, yes. I
Okay.
don't remember coming home with any medication for pain. Yeah. So
Okay. That's really good, because like I think that was one less thing you had to deal with.
Because
and
of
stuff.
course I was in the hospital, so I didn't have much to do. Nurses were around, so you have to run around and clean and all that. Yeah. So for the recovery, it was quite smooth. I just had to have the discipline of getting up every day, making sure I walk and all that. Yeah. So for the recovery, it was
and that's a key thing, because I remember the same thing with me too and stuff like that. And I know you encouraged me, like, move, and one of my good friends who's a midwife, she's retired now, she was another person that said, it's important to not just lay in bed and stuff, like start moving as early as possible, because I think that helped a lot with my recovery and just like with respect to the C-section. So I think that's really, really good. And so having your daughter during the pandemic and stuff, like back home, there all the festivities and things and, celebration and stuff like that. What was that like for you, having your daughter in a foreign country and like it was during a pandemic? Did you get to have much socializing when you came home with her?
No. I think there was nothing like that. We were mostly by ourselves home, and that was just it until we moved in here
to the US.
Wow. So for the first 3 months, it was just me, my baby, and the lady we stayed with, and she was also in school, so most of the time she was away or she was busy on her machine and all that. So it was just me and my baby most of the time. Until we joined the dad here.
And so with that said, with being that you didn't have much socializing, did you and then you moved to the US to join your husband, and now you were able to start mingling with other people. Did you see did that impact your daughter in any way? Well, with you, but also with your daughter as well, because here she is, she's gone a while and she doesn't see other people that's not mommy. And then now there are people in her face who are, very different and stuff. How did that impact her socially? And I would like to know for you as
I
well.
think my girl is a social animal. You know her, so.
This question actually is from my husband. He
Oh.
wanted to know. My husband wanted to, because he loves her, and like she just melts his heart, and so he wanted to know that.
So it was cool for her, She was always smiling, and anybody who comes, she would open the arms, and I think she wasn't getting that in Canada, so it was like,
she was like, people,
right now, when with a lot of parties here and all that, so it was so cool for her, and I was also very thankful for that, because she got to meet other kids, play with other kids, and it was beautiful and sweet.
Good.
And then for me personally too, it did a lot for me. Good. It did a lot for me, and I'm so thankful for the Ghanaian community here. I just want to say a big shout out to all of you. When I came, the parties were there, party upon party upon party.
During COVID.
Oh Lord,
when people are supposed to...
what was wrong with the Ghanaian community now? But
people were supposed to social distance, and Ghanaians are like, turn up.
Every weekend there's something going on. Every that really helped me. That really helped in my journey of recovery, because you get to meet people, you get to talk, you smile, you laugh, and I was looking forward to every weekend because I knew there was an opportunity, and I began enjoying life. And as you know, I'm somebody who likes to dress, look good, and once Saturday is coming, I know it's an opportunity for me to dress and those kind of things that I do that I enjoy, started getting back to life, and it really helped. So thanks so much to all the Ghanaian community in Elko that really, really helped me in my recovery journey.
Yeah. And so, and you shared with respect to relocate, and just to go back, your daughter, I did not know that she was with dealing with pandemic, because I remember the first time I met you at church, and she just had the biggest smile. She just melted my heart. She was like a little baby and stuff. So when my husband was like, ask her this question, he was, coming up with the questions and stuff. And I was like, really? Her? I was sure she had no problems, but I thought that was a really, really good question, because she just adjusted, and she's so loving, such a social butterfly, the sweetest little girl ever, and we love her. So I definitely agree with you on that. And so now you said you moved here, and now you're getting the social stuff going on. And did you have to make much of an adjustment relocating to US? And was it a pretty smooth transition?
Not much, because what was it? It was just packing my stuff that I had, my baby stuff, and that was just it. So it wasn't really much of a big deal, just with my big bags. I remember when I got to the custom check-in, the man was like, is it 9 bags? I'm like, He was like, what's in there? I said, baby stuff. And the man shook his head.
Ma'am.
I remember how to pay, I think, close to 1,000 SS. Yes, $1,000 for SS. Yeah, so... And it was because, I had things like diapers that people had given me.
Oh, okay.
And wipes. And I didn't want to leave any there. So I had to bag everything. And, it was crazy.
I'm going to make fun of you, but there are no diapers and wipes in the U.S.
But at least people gave me gifts. And the African as I was, I thought I was saving money. So
and then you pay 1,000
just to bring those. Can you imagine? But it was part of the postpartum mess. I wasn't thinking straight. I know if Charles had suggested I leave them down, I'm carrying this thing.
Husband would have been like, ma'am.
Yeah. So
I can relate to that too, because my husband, it's like I'm packing. He's like, yes, over there they don't have. Why do you need your water bottle? They don't have water.
Yeah.
And the place you're going.
That's true. Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. That's awesome. And so, to God be the glory. Now you guys have 2 kids, and so you moved and everything. How long did it take before you had got pregnant with your next child? And did you feel like you were fully recovered? What was that like? Because
it's just funny. I remember when I came, I was playing politics, and I was like, "Oh, Charles, is it okay? I just want to have a baby. It's too stressful." It was like, whatever works for you, because I was still in my recovery mode.
Right.
But funny enough, just 10 months.
10 months. Okay, postpartum.
The second one was in. So
yeah. And how was that pregnancy like? Having a C-section previously, and like comparing it to that first pregnancy. What was that like?
I think it was okay. It was cool. With, as I mentioned, my blood pressure and all that. But because I knew about my pre-existing conditions and
Okay.
everything. So from the word go, my OB knew, and
Okay.
oh my gosh, she was on top of her game.
Praise
Dr.
God. Praise
Kleble,
God.
if chance on this video, I just want to say thank you. And of I think Women Health Elco,
Mm-hmm.
they were amazing,
Mm.
Ruby. They were so amazing. And so it was quite smooth for me. This
Oh,
pregnancy
good.
was
Praise
cool,
God. Praise
because
God.
she was there checking on me. I had to go and visit, and everything they could do, just to keep me and baby safe. They did a good job. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so because you had a C-section with your daughter
Mm-hmm,
and it was like about 10 months, then you got pregnant again.
mm-hmm.
Did you have to do a C-section for the second
Yes,
child?
I did, and the second one was because of these reasons. She was like, in the state of Nevada,
Okay.
once you've had the C-section,
Okay.
normally they don't allow for you to push again.
Okay.
So that is what she
So
said. And the
okay.
second one too was because of my blood pressure issues. So they wouldn't want to, complicate things and
Mm,
having me go through pain of pushing and all that. Yeah. So these were the two reasons she gave. And once I'd gone through it the first time, I was down for it the second time. So
yeah.
it wasn't an issue for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You gotta, I mean, safety first and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So you
Sure.
guys just, and I think the OBs don't want to lose their
Oh,
licenses
yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so something that I talk about on this channel too is things with relationships and marriage and things like that. How is it kind of, because it's a lot for you, whereby okay, now you relocate with your husband,
Mhm.
you here you are with your baby, you move in, and you and your husband are reunited again. And so how did you balance marriage and motherhood? And then there was the pandemic still going on, but just like how did you balance that? Like, okay, now it's like you're reunited with your husband again, you're taking care of this baby, and but also you got to keep the spark with your husband. And clearly the spark was maintained. You had another baby.
Yeah.
And I see your husband is joining the conversation. Hello. We're talking about you, sir. So, but how did you kind of navigate so many things going on? Because it's, because, and just, as you think about it, but when my husband and I got married, we decided to wait at least a year before we try to conceive, because a lot of people told us having a baby immediately comes with so much. And so you didn't even get to have that. It's like you already had your baby now, and then now you're just reconnecting with your husband and stuff. How'd you balance?
So one of the things that I did was when I was coming, it was the first time I was, coming to live in my matrimonial home with my husband, with my kids and all that.
Right.
So it was a whole lot going on in my head, like expectations, being a mom, being a wife. But I remember one time we were driving and we had a really healthy conversation, and he said certain things that really calmed me down. Like I asked him, I was like, I want you to be truthful to me. Like, what are your expectations of me as a wife? What do you want me to
Oh,
do?
that's good.
And when I asked him, he was like, I have no expectations. I want us to roll like as a normal family. We mess up. I don't have anything like, "Hey, you're expected to cook. You're expected to do this." I don't have those things. So don't really bother yourself with things like that. And I just want to appreciate him. He's not difficult. He has his own issues, that way. But when it comes to like home and food, anything you give him, he will eat.
That's awesome.
Prepare tea
Simple
thrice a day
guy.
for him, and he will eat.
Yeah.
Put whatever, tell him you eat salad and sleep. He's cool with it. So when it comes to that, and I think with that conversation we had, really gave me the
I
ease.
love that. That's so good.
Yeah, because I
That's
knew
so
that, of
good.
course, we're now coming to live as a couple, and so okay, I've heard stories that you're expected to do this. Yes, I told him to be sincere with me. I just wanted to know his expectations. I was like, I don't have any expectations for you, mom. Just be you. Just let's roll like a family. We mess up, we
love
get up, we
that.
do whatever, and so that is how it has been, and it's a whole lot. Marriage is hard work, Ruby. You know that marriage is hard work, but I thank God that it's been 3 years down the lane, and it's been okay. Of course, we've had our issues. It will be
In every
something
marriage,
if I
it's
say we don't
inevitable.
quarrel, yeah,
Right,
but
right.
we've learned a lot with this short period of being together, talking about everything, which
I
is
love
very
that.
key. Communication. We talk, we get angry, we talk about it. We are not happy with something, we talk about it. Sometimes even it's not what you're doing is not what the person is thinking, or you have a good motive, but the person sees it wrongly. But if you don't communicate, and I think that is one thing that has helped both of us, we talk about everything, we try as much as some of them are very hard conversations, but we still have them, And one thing that I have seen also is letting things go. As a couple, I like practice it, Don't hold up to things so much. Once you're able to talk about it, just leave it behind and then move. That is what we have adopted. Something comes, we talk about it, and then that's it.
Forgiveness.
We let it go, and then we try to, so we don't hold back and, we are angry and I'm not talking to you, and we can be mad at each other, but we'll still talk. There are days, of course, we don't flow like we are supposed to flow. But once we talk about it, we let it go and then we move on. So that is what I would want to recommend. Of course, your marriage is unique.
Right.
Mine is unique. But I'm only trying to share things that have worked for us, talking about everything, even the slightest thing. Let me share one quick one. Today, I saw a toothpick in the car because we are now using one car. And I knew that wasn't my toothpick. So I asked him, where did he go and how did he get this thing? He was like, oh, he ate meat. And I'm like, you ate meat? When? This house or where? I'm still probing, trying to know where he went or where he got the meat. Then I was like, I went to Marcus's place. And I'm like, oh, but you didn't tell me. You only said you were going to Home Depot. And we spoke about it. But assuming that I had not asked him, and I'm like, where did you go? Where did he begin? He was like, okay, I ate meat.
You
and I
have all these assumptions in your head.
Did you go out? Did he see somebody? Did he meet somebody? So, my dear, if you want to talk, no matter how silly it looks, talk about it. And you, the other partner, be patient. Listen to the person. Let them express their feelings. That is the only way we can move forward, because this marriage thing, okay? Be easy.
It's not. It's only God's grace. I love that. Gosh, you've given us so many good tips. And just you saying, I love that. The car conversation. What are your expectations of me as a mom, as a wife and stuff? And I think sometimes we overthink it or have all these assumptions. And I think sometimes it's because of the cultural upbringing that we have as a wife. Like you said, they think we're supposed to be super women, and that's something I carry sometimes too, where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so exhausted. I've been with the baby all day. And I'm just like, my husband's going to get home. I'm like, I should be cooking. And he's like, honey, you don't have to cook. I can pick up something. He's like, it's okay. And I'm just in those moments, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Because I knew I didn't have it in me anymore to even try and cook. But then here I am still saying, maybe I can just power through this and stuff. So I praise God for just having an understanding husband who's like, it's okay.
And one other thing, Ruby, when they help, appreciate them.
Amen.
Appreciate. Don't hide it. It doesn't make you vulnerable. It doesn't make you. All the time, I try as much as possible to appreciate him. Even the little thing he does, because he can choose not to do it.
That's true.
He will tell you it's normal, but I tell him to bath the kids, he'll bath them. Oh, thank you for doing that. Sometimes he'll just be there. I'll think through all that he has been doing for the family. I'll just show him a message. Thanks so much. Don't feel too much entitled as a wife. Of course you are. Yes, it makes sense. But sometimes acknowledge the person for what the person is going through, just to give you the life that you are having. And trust me, for me, that is one of my key tools. Of course, not to flatter him, but I get humbled with a little thing that he does. You understand? He gets up. He tries to help you, clean. Appreciate him for it. He helps you cook. Appreciate him for him. You will say you're tired, you don't want to cook. He takes you out. Appreciate the little things. Let him know that, okay, I see you. I see what you are doing. I don't take it for granted. You understand? Because it takes a lot of things, a lot of sacrifice, to let go certain things about yourself, just to make your partner comfortable or happy, or the family. And once the person does that, please make time and appreciate the person. You don't need to get any gift, just
words of affirmation,
and let the person know
which is a love language.
We appreciate, because currently I don't work, I am home all the time, and everything is coming from him, and it's not easy. So sometimes I dress, I look at myself, I look good, and I just look and I say, Charlie, thanks you. All this, it's because, and it is true. It is because of him. This wig, it is him. Lipstick, like him. Lipo. His pocket. This one.
Breaking down.
His pocket.
No, this hair is yours. You bought it, so.
So just let the quiet. The same happen to the men. To me, too, we love it. Appreciate us. You see,
Yeah.
you come home, you come and meet a clean home, a good meal, and sometimes it comes from lunch. Thank you for the lunch. Just those little things.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it does and how it will push us to move forward. So appreciate your partner. It's
He's
very
appreciating
important.
you. I see him in the comments. He's putting his hands up.
Yeah.
Thank you,
it's
sir.
hard, yeah.
Thank you
It's
for
tough.
taking care of my sister.
It's tough,
Yeah.
but
That's
this
good. That's
little
good
things,
advice.
yeah.
That's really, really good. And so just continuing with the advices, we're about to round up. What I know you're a person who, you're really disciplined when it comes to your health and fitness and things like that. I remember well, lately I haven't been doing a great job at it, but when I was pregnant, I used to, I'll go work out and then we'll swap. I was working out. I'd go to the gym, go to yoga, and then hurry up and come back, and then we'll swap. Or I'll watch your kids, and then you go to yoga, go work out, and all that stuff.
It's true. We've had it a history together. That's so true.
Yeah. So, but how can you encourage, moms? Whether they might be trying or maybe they're expecting currently or they already had a baby, how can they stay on top of it and be disciplined about their health and fitness? Because that also connects to your message of mental health.
Sure.
So what encouragement would you give them or practical tips on that?
Yeah. It's not easy, Ruby, combining this motherhood thing and, setting aside for your time for yourself and all that. But all that I have to say is, it's the discipline, And one thing that keeps me going, I tell myself that, okay, God could have given this case to any other person, not me. God could have given my husband to any other person, not me. And so if God has given me this family to be responsible for, to take care of, I have to be well myself before I can do that.
That's true.
Because if I'm not well, if I'm not healthy, I don't think I can change my kids' diaper. I don't think I can bath them. I don't think I can prepare a good meal for my husband. And so I try to be selfish and put myself first. And being selfish is not selfish as in me, but it's a selfishness that is going to benefit the whole family.
Yeah.
Because if I'm healthy, if I'm healthy and I'm well, then it's like I'm the support, I'm the center of the home, and everybody's rallying around me because I wake up in the morning. I have to make sure that his breakfast is ready. He goes to work. I have to make sure that Baraka is okay and ready for school. I have to attend to Azel. And so if I don't take care of myself to be fit enough to run these errands, then what am I doing to the family? You understand? That means I'm going to put pressure on Charles.
Yeah.
Baraka is going to fall off. Azel is going to fall off. Yeah. And so I understand my responsibility as a mother.
Right.
I understand my responsibility as a wife. And to be able to accomplish that responsibility that God has given me, I have to be first. I need to take care of myself. And that is what keeps me going every day. And no matter how busy my day is, for that 1 hour of going to the gym, I have to make it. And as someone who has gone through postpartum depression and I know what it can do to my mental health, I know that my mental health is key because if I am not happy, I'm going to spread it across. My husband will get it. My children will get it. But if I am happy, I'm able to be a good wife to him. I'm able to be a loving mother to all of them because I'm full of happiness and joy. And how do I get that joy? It's taking care of my mental health. How do I take care of it? It's exercising regularly. So if you try to find an excuse, trust me, Mama, you'll find because there are so many things to do in a day that you might feel that you can't make time for exercise. But if you prioritize your health and know that you are the person that is keeping the home running, and so you need to take care of yourself, you need to take care of your mental health, then you make it a priority. And so for me, that's my motivation thing. I tell myself, I need to be well to take care of them. So every day I make sure that, of course, if you cannot make it to the gym, there are so many things you can do. You can walk. Sometimes I don't go. I turn on the TV, YouTube here. You see me doing. The kids are all over the place. We are dancing, but I'm doing something just to keep the system running, the blood flowing, the heart, beating, and everything in check. Yeah. So
that's good.
It's not a must that probably go register with a gym, but there's so much at home that we can do to keep it. And now, thanks to YouTube, you just have to turn it on. And
Yep.
home exercises are there,
That's
1,001 that you cannot even body training exercise, cardio, everything. Sometimes I just pack them when the weather is good in a stroller and off
go
I go.
walking.
Several times I've met Pastor Kara on the way,
Yeah.
and that is another excellent way of exercising. And of course, your food, watching what you eat. I eat everything and anything, but it is 80% rule for me. As much as possible, 80% try to be health conscious. Eat your greens, eat your fruits. And of course, we're Africans, so we enjoy our banku, our fufu, the starchy stuff. We can't do without them, but in moderation. So you don't need to starve yourself and say, oh, I'm on diet, I'm not. Because the truth is, those things are not sustainable. You do it after a week and you are back to zero. But you inculcate them. Okay, I want to eat fufu, but I'm just having a little portion. I have my soup, I have my proteins, but I'll make sure that I have my vegetables. I'll make sure I have my fruits, and just have it balanced. Then
yeah, and you stay on top of that.
I try.
You stay on top of it. So that's a mom of two and just like a lot going on. So I really admire that for sure. And so my final question is, what are the joys of being a mom?
I think I said it earlier. Just sometimes I just look at them and I'm thankful that among all the women on earth, God chose me as a best vessel to have these kids, and I'm always thankful for that, Ruby.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for that, and that fills my heart. That is all that I can say. I'm like, there are so many people out there crying, trusting God for children. But if God felt like, okay, I can trust you with these two babies, that is a blessing, because He could have chosen any other person, but He decided to give them to Maud.
Amen.
And that alone, it's enough joy for me. Yeah. So, and also seeing like people like these little ones, and it's like their whole life is dependent on you, and they make you feel so important. Though it's a lot of work,
right?
But I feel so important because Azal comes and it's mama, and she wants to be with you.
He's a mama's boy, like most boys.
you seeking for attention, and you look at them and it looks like you matter so much in their life. And it's just awesome. It's just awesome. No, I know I matter to Charles, but I don't think I matter to him like I matter to us.
He's gonna start typing in the comment section.
Yeah, so that feeling of knowing that you matter so much to someone and the person's life is dependent. It can be scary though, but you look back and you also feel special that so somebody's looking up to me. I'm somebody's world. They see you and they say, hey, mommy, and they're all over you. In the morning, they wake up from their bed and they come, mommy, and you're like, oh God. I don't know how
I'm getting chills hearing you explain that, because I know
it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful to God every single day that He chose me. He could have given this case to any other person. But He chose me and gave me the grace to carry them in my stomach for 9 months, have them, and giving me the strength and ability that I can wake up every morning to take care of them, attend to their needs, groom them, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God. Yeah. Thankful to God.
Yeah. What did he say in there? Now I know what your husband is like.
Chill, child. Just chill.
Your husband is defending his life on the comment section.
Just chill.
Thank you to supportive husbands. Thank you, sir. But thank you so much. I just want to appreciate you. Thank you. You're an amazing friend to me, an amazing mom, an amazing wife. You've been a mentor to me. You've been a friend. And so many things. So I'm just so thankful for you. Like, I got to, even though we're good friends, but still I learned a lot just from this conversation with you, which is, I didn't think that was even possible, but that's awesome, because there are so many things I learned as well. And I just want to thank you for your vulnerability, your honesty, your love, and just your wisdom that you've poured into us today. It means so much to me. And I pray that this is, helpful to to be moms, future
Amen.
moms and current moms and all that stuff like that. And that
Amen.
it can be wisdom that's imparted to so many people and stuff like that. I
Amen.
just appreciate you and I'm thankful for you. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank
I
you for
know a
having
lot's
me.
going on in your
Yeah,
family right now,
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
transitions and
yeah,
changes,
yeah.
but here we are and you've taken the time to do this. Any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah, just keep watching out for us on Ruby Room. A lot of things to learn and navigate this whole life. Of course, we all don't have it,
Mm,
but you listen here and there. You try to shape yours too, and then make it the best. So
it's good.
continue, following us and then joining us live, watching all our videos, and I just want you to know that you are enough wherever
Mm,
you are, whatever you're going through. Just know that Jesus loves you. God loves you. God has you. Sharing my story, you've seen that it hasn't been easy, but one thing I'm thankful for that throughout the journey, Jesus has been with me. I keep
amen.
sharing the testimony that look, women go to the theater room. Some do not even have blood pressures, but they don't come out alive.
Mm,
Some do not have crazy complications like I do, but they don't come up. But if I have gone out with all my complications, I've gone through all this postpartum madness, and today I am here.
mm,
That tells me that Jesus has been with me all through it because I couldn't have done it all by myself. And
amen.
so I just want you to know that Jesus is with you. I don't know what you're going through, your marriage, your raising your kids, the chaos and everything. We don't have it perfect as you see us. We have our own issues we are dealing with. But one thing that we are assured is Christ is always with us. And that is our
Amen.
confidence and that is our hope. So if you are watching us and you don't know about Jesus, we just want to invite you to him. Get to know him more and know him for him yourself. We are not promising you that once you get to know Jesus, all is going to be well. No, but one thing that we are promising you is he is with you.
Amen.
No matter what, you've listened to my story, and throughout all, he was with me. And that is why today I'm here to share it with you. So just keep being you and loving Jesus and know that Jesus loves you more.
Amen.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I love you.
Love you.
Thank you so
You're
much. Thank
welcome.
you for joining us. Make sure you like the
Yeah.
video if you haven't. Thanks for watching. And check out my other videos. Thanks for watching the Ruby Room today. Bye.